it completely brings in a very, very different dimension, and the profile completely stands out as compared to every other profile which goes to anywhere, So a large part I have to acknowledge, and I will continue acknowledging, is because of my life spent at sea, and I actually loved sailing. So all of you should be proud of the profession you've chosen, and at different ranks you are, but you should feel extremely proud of what you're doing today and whatever you have learned. Now, before you think about career transition, it is important to understand the why. And if you look at some of the top videos, Simon Sinek and all, you will find everybody is talking about the why. And why really means that why do you want to do something? And it is very, very important to understand the why of doing anything, because there's a saying that the bigger the why, easier the how. So if you know why you want to transition or why you want to continue, then life becomes relatively easier for you. If you do not know that why, and then you struggle a lot. So let's understand what are the typical reasons why somebody who's sailing would want to step ashore. One could be family reasons. You want to spend more time with your family, although with shorter contracts today, that is very much possible. There's a lot more connectivity today than it used to be earlier. So, but yes, family could be one of the reasons. Kids are growing up, going college, or somebody is not well at home, so you want to move on shore. That's one reason. Sometimes it could be health reasons as well. There is some health condition which you are sort of dealing with, and hence you want to move into a shore job. You don't think it's you're okay to sail. Sometimes you want to search for better opportunities. Now, there are two terms I've listed here: better opportunity and lack of opportunity. Better opportunity means that you are looking to grow in your career, but you have reached a certain point, like a captain or a chief engineer. You feel you want to move to the next level, but there's nothing more available. Same is with lack of opportunity, right? You've tried certain things within the shipping community, but things have not worked out, so you want to move on shore and do something different outside the shipping industry. So it could be in search of better opportunity as well. Sometimes you get a feeling that yeah, you're getting bored all the time. You're sailing, and you feel there is a stagnation. You've reached at that point where then nothing else is happening in terms of your career progression. And then so boredom is different from being not happy. Not happy means there's something which is not making you happy, right? Something which is a cause of worry or sadness in terms of your job profile, and hence you're not happy with your current life. It could be the contract duration, the type of company, it could be the money, whatever it is. So there is something which is making you unhappy. And then there could also be safety and security reasons. Safety, of course, now in this current situation has a very different meaning, but sometimes that can also be under consideration. Sometimes it is security, right? With piracy and other things, you may or your family may feel that this is no more a secure job. That could also be one of the drivers. And the last one, and this again I've heard of from a lot of people. Sometimes it could be something. So you have a different passion, right? You may want to write a book. You may like to become a singer. You may want to do a TV show, something. And that passion, somehow you now you feel strongly that I want to pursue my passion, but because of sailing I'm not able to, hence I want to come on shore. So there could be different reasons for different people. Again, each of you who are attending today are unique. There is no common reason. All of you will have very different drivers why you want to switch your careers to shore, or why you don't want to switch. So don't compare your reason with anybody else. So we'll do probably a quick poll to understand why, if at all, you want to leave shipping and move to shore. Gaurav, can we do a quick poll now? I think so. Here some questions are there. Can you just pick up the reason which works best for you, and tell us why, if at all, you want to make a career transition? Okay, I think a large part of people want to search for better opportunities. There are obviously other reasons as well. Passion, 20% passion, close to 20%, that's great. So as you see in the poll result, you can see there is, of course, there is a slight more tilt towards a better opportunity, but there are different reasons as well. Some people feel it is for family, some people feel it is for safety and security, some people want to pursue a passion, and some people are not sure. That's perfectly fine. And this was just to get a sense of why you feel it is important for you to make a career transition. So here are the results. Almost 70% are looking for better opportunity, and then of course the remaining 30% are is across different other reasons, which is perfectly fine. You have your own reason, so that's the whole point, to know that your reason may be very different from your colleagues. Now, as I said, if the why is clear, and some of you are clear because you said you are clear, there was a small percentage you said, I'm not sure why I want to make a transition. So if your why is strong, why I want to do it, then the how, the what, the when becomes much, much easier. But if your why is not clear, then you struggle a lot. Should I do it? Should I not do it? You're always on this sort of fringe line. So that is why it's important. And maybe you can go back and think again. You can brainstorm with your family or do your own whiteboarding, mind mapping to say, okay, why do I want to make a transition? If it is not clear, if you have any doubts, then it's very important exercise for you to figure out why do you want to make a career transition. Because once you figure it out, then everything becomes easier. Otherwise, you struggle with the why. So let's do another poll. How many of you are sure about the why part? I think we'll launch a quick poll. How many of you are 100% sure that I know that yes, why I'm doing it? Excellent. It's great to see majority of you are sure that why you want to do it, which is absolutely fantastic to see here, because that's really a good starting point to and it lays a good foundation of what you want to do in terms of the next steps. So almost a good 75%, almost 3/4 of the audience today is sure, which is great actually. Perfect. And then as you can see, a very small percentage are saying I still need to think, which is again perfectly fine. It is your own unique journey, so you don't have to compare it with others. And some of you are moderately sure, not sure, which is fine. As you can see, 75% are sure that why you want to leave, which is absolutely great as a starting point. So the other thing I also want to call out is that for the remaining 25% who are not sure why you want to leave shipping. So if your why is not very strong or not clear, it is perfectly fine, because there's nothing wrong with the shipping industry. While you have your own reasons, I still feel shipping is one of the best careers, both exposure it can get, the type of leadership skills you can develop, the type of monetary benefits you have. So I still feel it's a great career. So for all those who feel that why is not strong and the remaining 25%, and the only advice I can give you is that you can do a couple of things. One is, there is no harm, there's no reason why you should not continue sailing. Of course, job security and job market is a different condition, but if you still want to continue sailing, which I still feel is a good thing to do, there's nothing wrong in sailing, is figure out one thing you can do differently to address the situation because of which you are unhappy or you're getting bored. So something you can do, you can go back and think, okay, I want to sail, but what is that one reason or one or two thing which is making me think that I should not sail, and is there anything you can do about it? You go back and think as an action item, is there anything you can do differently? It could be something at a family level, it could be something at a passion level, something the way you operate. Can you do something differently so that you don't have to leave your job? That's one thing. And if you can figure out, prepare an action plan about what to do, when to do, how to do. For example, if it is a passion thing and you want to pursue something else, is there something you can do when you're on leave and have a very, very strong dedicated plan to do it, rather than always pushing it to the next time, and then obviously go and take action about it. If it is a family front, is there something you can reorganize your sailing times or your family situation so that it helps you manage it as well as not leave the job? So for all the 25% who said we are not very sure about it, go back and think that you want to continue sailing. Whatever is making these thoughts come in your mind, is there anything you can do about it? And take some action so that you don't have to quit sailing and still be able to manage it and balance it out in some form or shape. May not always be the ideal balance, but in some form or shape, is there a way you can do it? Now, question comes, why did I leave, right? All of you have raised your points, again, different reasons. My reasons were very different, and you may or may not believe in these, but these were generally my reasons, right? One is I'm a strong believer that we all should reinvent our lives. And when I say reinvent our lives, it means that we should not remain the same person for a long period of time. So it is, and that's why you'll find I've made these 3 different careers, and at about 10 to 15 years of timeline, I change careers. And the idea is just to test my potential, explore my potential. What else can I do? And that's my strong belief that all of us, each one of you who is attending today, all of us can do a lot more than what we are doing today. So we have a lot more potential. It is just that it is not explored. Because over time we grow up in a fixed mindset saying we can only do this and nothing else. So I wanted to explore my potential. What else can I do? And that was the reason when I left. I also had a strong sense of self-belief. And this is very important in terms of what can you do and what can you not do, right? So I had a strong belief that, okay, if I've been successful in shipping, why will I not be successful in some other career? So self-belief is very important, because if you don't believe in yourself, others will not believe in you. And it was very conscious, right? Nobody forced me to do it. It was not that I was fed up with shipping. I loved sailing, but I also knew I want to do something different. And that was the whole point. So sometimes people feel I'm fed up with sailing, I want to quit. No, it was not the case with me. I was enjoying sailing. But at the same time, I realized that I have to do something else in my life. So that was a conscious choice. And it was a big risk at that point of time, because if you remember, 2009 was the peak of the financial crisis, the subprime mortgage crisis, the Lehman Brothers collapse. So it was a big risk to leave a well-settled, well-paying job and enter an education program, take a break for 1 year, not earning anything, and not knowing when the economy will recover. At that point, people were saying it might take 3, 4 years, 5 years for the world economy to recover, because everything has gone into recession. So it was a big risk as well. Of course, in the long run, it paid out, but it was not an easy decision. And same thing happened when last year when I quit, again, a well-paying job and started my own consulting practice. Now, I didn't know that within less than 6 months, this whole COVID thing will happen, and everything will be put on a back burner. So some of these things you just can't anticipate, and sometimes you have to be willing to take those risks. Now, one thing I want to advise and caution all of you: don't avoid herd mentality. Just because everybody is doing it need not mean you have to do it. And that's something we all fall prey into. We fall prey into this whole peer pressure that I see everybody is doing, and you hear these stories that people are doing well, and you get enamored by that, and you want to do it. Don't get pressurized by peer pressure. Don't follow herd mentality. You have to have your own strong reason to continue selling or move to short. So again, as I said, all of you are unique. Your careers are unique. Your family, lifestyle, everything is unique. So don't compare yourself with others, and don't do things simply because others are doing. Sometimes when you hear some of these stories of people moving onshore and doing really well, behind that there are a lot of people who have moved onshore and not doing so well and going back to sailing as well. So don't follow the herd mentality. So let's talk about now career transition. What do you mean by career transition? And some of the common questions which you might have and which everybody has when we think about career transition are: when should I make the transition? What is the right time for me? What should I do? Where can I go? Which industry? Which sectors can I target? How to go about it, and what is the process to do that? And where to begin with, right? And then finally is the question of upskilling. Should I go for MBA? Should I take some courses? What should I do? So these are the 4 common questions I believe will be in all your minds, and we'll try to address all these during the next 45 minutes to 1 hour as much as we can. So how many of you are not sure when to make a transition? Let's make a poll at this point of time. You're not sure when to make a transition. We'll do a quick poll now. Interesting to see. Almost, I think, more or less most of the people, if I look at, are within the next 3 years. You have some timeline in mind. If I see from the results, whatever is coming on the screen, it looks like majority of you are thinking between now and the next 3 years. Some obviously want to make a transition now. Some you want to have it within the next 12 months, and some within the next 3 years. So majority are gravitating towards less than 3 years time frame, which is great. So of course some of you want to do it now, and hopefully this session will help. And for others who are planning it either in a year or next couple of years, hopefully this session can give you a lot of sort of follow-ups that you can take back and think. And for even for those who are not sure, I think you will find a lot of sort of follow-ups from this session today, which you can go back and start the thinking process. So when should you make a transition? Of course, some of you have some timeline in mind, some of you don't have. For some it is just the immediate future, some it is the near future. So let's understand one thing. There is no right or wrong time. And this is, again, I am saying purely from my experience. As I gave you example, I made 2 transitions, both one at the peak of the financial crisis when everything was down, and second at the point when, again, within 6 months, we are dealing with one of the, or probably the biggest crisis the world has ever seen. So there is no right or wrong time to make a transition. The other thing you have to understand, then, if you feel, or if you are in the mindset that I will settle everything on the family front and my kids will grow up, they'll go to college, all that, marriage, everything will happen, that time will never come. And this is purely a fact of life that are, if you wait for some time to come where all your obligations are met, that time will not come, or it will come at such a late stage that you will not be able to have that appetite to make a transition. The other thing also is, along with that, is a financial situation will never be optimal. If you think I will have so much money in my bank account and then I will take a break, invariably it doesn't happen, and that's a practical aspect of it. Some of you might have figured it out, so I think it is good if you feel that you have the financial support and the muscle to make a career transition. Great, absolutely fantastic. But other than that, most of the time you hope that you have enough money to make a transition and it will take care of you, but it doesn't happen all the time. Like in my example, when I quit, I had a lot of investment in stock market, and the stock market collapsed in 2009. 2008 started collapsing. By the end of 2009 or mid of 2009, it was it was at the bottom. So I lost most of my money. I lost in the stock market crash, and I had to take an education loan. So somehow this whole it's like a fallacy, right? That things will be very optimal and then I will make a transition. So that sometimes does not happen. And the final thing I want to say is there is no wrong time to do the right thing. So if you feel this is the right time, this is the right time. So whenever you're thinking about doing the right thing, and when I say right thing, means right thing for you. So if you feel this is the right time for me, and that links to the why part of it, why you want to do it, then there is no wrong time. Yeah, and it could be any time. So again, each of you have a different time frame in mind, but there's no the right or wrong time. And if you really want to do it, you are confirmed, you're sure about the why you want to do it, then there is never a wrong time. Yes, it may take you time to settle. It may take time to succeed in the new role, new job, new industry. That's a different thing. But there's never a right or wrong time to make a career transition or make any change in life for that matter. So next question is what? What to do, where to go, which industry should I target? So how many of you are not sure what to do, which industry, which sector, or let's do a quick poll on that. You will see a poll launching very shortly, which will ask you a question around, are you sure whether you know what to do or you don't know what to do? It's interesting. Majority of you are not sure, which is not nothing to be afraid of, nothing to worry about. We'll cover some of the points today, obviously, to help you out in that aspect. I think we have most of you have responded. So majority of you, so 66%, 2/3 of you are saying that I'm not sure what to do, which is nothing wrong, And this is not just your dilemma. Let me tell you that anybody who wants to make a career transition, whether it is shipping or non-shipping, even people who are settle assured, when they want to move careers or they want to make a change, they're not sure where to go. So you're not unique in this situation. Everybody who wants to think about career change, especially at a middle level, at a senior level, people are confused, and it's perfectly fine. With shipping, normally I think the problem slightly gets acute because you've been only doing sailing, and for a large part, you're not aware what is happening in other industries, other sectors, and that is why you have a sense, or you feel there is a gap in my understanding. What can I do? What can I not do? And we'll try to answer those questions now. So what can you do, right? Obviously, there is one option to remain in the shipping and logistics industry, and there are different type of roles you can do here. You can get into commercial operations, you can do port operations, pilotage, and various type of shore jobs in terms of vessel operations, whether it is SNQ, technical manning, so many things you can do within that space. You can get into marine surveying, you can get into maritime law, You can also get into some sort of administrative services with government or their allied arms. So these are the typical options available. You can get into chartering, which is part of commercial operations. You get into sort of brokerage if you want. So variety of things you can do which are allied or adjacent to the marine industry itself. And I think Sea and Beyond as an organization has listed about 33 different roles where a mariner can go and venture. And they also have a lot of host of panel or experts who can help and guide you in picking the right sort of role based on your background and your interests and your experience. So this is obviously, I think most of you must be aware of this. This is something you can do while remaining into the shipping and logistics industry as such. But a lot of you would want to move out, and this was my conscious choice. When I left shipping, my conscious choice was I don't want to be in the shipping industry. And it was again not because I didn't like it. I loved sailing. It was purely because the question that can I do something else somewhere else, and so that was a conscious choice saying I want to apply for jobs in companies which are not related to shipping. So these are obviously the roles which are available, which most of you might aware. I would strongly recommend you to get in touch with Sea and Beyond later on to figure out if there are suitable roles they can advise you on, which you can take within the marine industry. But then a lot of you want to work in non-shipping or you don't want to remain in the shipping industry, you want to do something different. So what are those type of roles? And there are two broad type of roles, depending on whether you are from the deck side or engine side. Within deck, a large part of the roles today are available in what is known as operations. Now, operations is really managing everything, and that's what we have done at sea, right? Irrespective of what level we were managing the operations of a ship. So this is a very, very naturally inclined, naturally fitting role for all of you who have been at sea, is managing operations. Now, operations is a horizontal. It is not an industry, it is not a sector, it is a horizontal function which cuts across various industries. So you can find operations in technology, you can find huge operation within financial services where I was working. You can find operations in a lot of e-commerce startups like Flipkart or Amazon or Swiggy or Grofers, and within a lot of startup world. So there is a huge uh, demand and space of people who are good in operations across different industries, and operations is a horizontal competence, right? So that's a big area. That's a natural fit for anybody who's from shipping background who has had some experience to get into that, right? And within operations there are different things. There is project management, there is risk management, there are so many things within operations. There's logistics management within operations in different industries. So that's one natural area where you can think of, you can go. The other is for engineering roles. Again, as some of you might be aware, there are a lot of engineering roles. Again, engineering as a function becomes fairly horizontal in nature. If you look at hotel industry, of course, now it's not doing well, but typically we have seen a lot of engineers going into hotels. Manufacturing is, again, a lot of physical work happens on the shop, on the floor. So people from engineering background may be naturally suited for that. A lot of technology firms are now hiring people from marine engineers being hired in technology firms as well. So again, engineering role is a horizontal role. You can actually get a job in different industries. I know somebody recently was an engineer who got a job in a bank in the data and analytics field. So engineering, again, both operations and engineering are horizontal sort of competencies, and these cut across different industries, different sectors. So these are two main areas where you can focus in terms of either a job search or when you're planning to make a career transition. Now, when you think about, okay, I want to get into operations, I want to get into some other sure job, and I'll primarily look at non-shipping related aspect of it. One thing you need to figure out is what are my key skills, right? What have I learned at sea? And this is where I think a lot of us feel challenged, because we do a lot of things, but somehow we miss the perspective. We do not realize that we are good in these things, because some of these things are naturally we are good at it. We have been doing as part of a job, but we have never projected ourselves in that manner. So first, one important step for all of you when you're thinking about transition is understand what are your core competencies, what are your top 3 skills. So let's do a quick poll and understand whether you are aware what are your key skills or competencies. Do you know what are your top 3 skills, or you don't know? Excellent. So we see it's almost balanced out. 50, almost 50% of you know about it. 50% don't know about it, which is fine, which is expected because we do a lot, but we don't label it that way. We don't realize that this is what we are doing. Really, if you think it's almost balanced, or slightly more, slightly above 50% for people who know, but slightly under 50% people who don't know. It's almost evened out, which is nothing sort of unexpected. It's purely because we don't realize that yes, this we are good at these things. So let's look at some of the key skills. But before that, I want to call out, right. In my experience, is there are very few jobs in the world, I would say, which can provide you the type of skills which shipping can provide. Right? And I'm talking about real life skills, real decision making. So many things which you learn at sea, which no other job. And I'm purely saying because when I went on shore, I realized the type of skills I had. Not many people had that, despite of me working on shore for several years, decades. Right. So I again will say, whatever I am today, a large part of it is because of the shipping life I spent. So my humble request to all of you is that please value the skills which you are learning. Please honor those skills, honor your job. I'll tell you, it is so rare. It is so rare. It's just a question of you building on from there. But people will absolutely see you in awe when you step ashore with those sort of skills. So it's an amazing career which gives you so many real life skills, and you do everything on your own, right? Right from your cadet or deck cadet or engine cadet or any other department you work in, you start your career by doing things, and throughout your job you do things, right? Over time you end up managing people who do, but a large part of the job you still do, and that's the beauty of that career, is that you're very practical, you're very hands on, and hence you learn by doing things actually. So I want to give all of you a chance to acknowledge the fact that whatever skills you have developed over time are very rare, very unique, and you must sort of treasure those skills and build on to them. So that is why it's important to realize, okay, am I aware what skills I have learned at sea? Am I really labeling them in the right way? And do I believe that I have those skills? So, for example, you may have done a job, but one is you have not portrayed yourself in that manner, and two is you don't believe because you never thought it out. You just said, okay, it's a particular job, I've just keep on doing it. But over time, you might have become very good at it, and you may not be even realizing it. You may not be aware of that, and hence, if you're not aware, then you don't believe in that, right? So, it's very important for all of you, especially for those people who have answered, I know my top skills, believing that yes, you are good at it. And for the remaining 50% who said, look, I'm not sure, we'll help you understand that today. And what I request all of you is go back and ponder over it and realize the fact that yes, you are indeed good in some of the skills, if not all, and be very aware of it. And over time, you can build your own self-belief systems to understand that you are really good in those skills or competencies. So this self-realization, self-awareness, self-belief is very, very important, because especially when you step ashore, you have to convince others that I'm good at this particular job, not from a shipping angle, but more from that skill required for that job. And hence you must realize that yes, I'm really good at it, and you must believe in that. So what are the key skills which we develop? And you will find these are the skills which map to the skills required for any shore job. So what you're going to see next is exactly how you will see skills or competencies in any shore job, any job description, especially in a non-shipping related industry. So these are the typical skills we gather on ships, which we are either aware or not aware, or we are not sure how to label it. One is operation management. So all of us are excellent in managing operations, running of the ships, right? All of the people, especially who are into top four, you are managing people. So again, over time, it may not necessarily mean that you are a good people manager, but you have developed people management skills. All of you are good in risk management. You are dealing with lives of people at sea. You are dealing with cargo worth millions of dollars. You are dealing with ship, which is an asset worth millions of dollars. You're facing so many hazardous conditions on the ship itself, whether it is enclosed spaces, gases, meeting a storm or a hurricane, whatever it is. So you are doing real life risk management on ships. Project management. all of you, especially at the top 4 level, you are very good in project management. In fact, this was one of the interview questions I was asked when I was applying for Goldman Sachs. And incidentally, my first role in Goldman Sachs was a project manager. So one of the interviews actually had asked me, okay, how are you saying that you are a good project manager? And I said, look, taking the ship from point A to point B is like a project. And we are doing everything which a project manager does, we are planning, we are scheduling, we are reporting, we are risk managing, all these things which are done in project management, we do that, right? We are changing course in between if required, we are updating ETA. So all the essence of project management is what we do, whether it could be simple, if you're planning the maintenance of your overall of an engine, it's a project. If you are doing routing of a ship from point A to point B, it's a project. If you're planning for cargo loading and unloading, it's a project. But we had never seen it that way. But if you now sort of try to sort of map what you've done at sea, a lot of the things which you do will fall in these core skill sets. And then finally is crisis management. Again, we have dealt with a lot of crises, whether it is onboard crisis or rescue operation at sea, or when you are on port. A lot of you might have experience on dealing with different type of crisis. So these, I think, are the core skills which every mariner develops over a period of time. It is just a question of, as I said, realizing that this is what it meant and labeling it that way. The other skill which also we learn is general management, right? General management means, especially if you are, let's say, a chief engineer or a master, you're dealing with operations, you're dealing with human resources, you're dealing with law, you're dealing with finance, you're dealing with so many different things, you're doing some part of the admin work. So you're good as a general manager, especially at the top 4 level, right? You're also good at managing cross-cultural, cross-functional teams, right? If you just look at the ship, you're managing different functions: engineering, electrical, catering, navigation. These are different functions technically. It's a small organization. So ship, you can think about ship as a floating organization, a small company out at sea, right? So these are the different departments of the company. Cross-cultural means you have people from different nationalities. A lot of you would have worked with multinational crew. Some of you may work with crew from India itself, but again, coming from different parts of India. So you have actually worked with multinational, multicultural crew. But again, did you see it that way? Maybe not. But now when you see this, you can link and label your skill set saying, yes, I am good in cross-cultural team management. Stakeholder management. Again, a key skill required, especially when you sort of apply for a job at a senior level, is how do you manage stakeholders? And if you look at sailing, one is obviously your stakeholders on the ship itself, but a larger part of that was managing your stakeholders outside. Cargo owners, ship managers, ship owners, port authorities, customs, immigrations. If you think about so many stakeholders we used to manage all the time, but again, we just thought it's a part of my job, but we never usually project it as if that you are good in stakeholder management, right? Time management, right? Everything is in shipping, you're paying by the hour, paying by the day to people, whether time management of people on board or the time management of the ship itself, whether it's on charter, what is the hire, delays, all these things. So you are doing really good time management in terms of making sure that your ships are adhering to the schedules, adhering to the ETAs and those sort of things. So all of us are typically good in time management. And then finally you're good in negotiations, right? Especially when you go to port, you negotiate with the port authorities, whether it's a survey, whether it is an inspection, whether it is a cargo owners, so many things you do in terms of just dealing. And those are international negotiations. You are dealing with people at an international level and negotiating with them for the safe and effective operations of a ship. So these are other skills which you develop. And now if you look at these 2 pages, there are so many skills you have developed out at sea. It's just a question of linking, labeling, and projecting in the right manner. So let's look at, okay, you figured out, okay, why, you figured out, what should I do? You figured out the answer to when, and let's look at now how. How should you go about it? Now, how means how should you start the process? It is not the end of the process, it is the start of the process. How should you go about thinking of changing a career or making a career transition? The first obviously is start thinking about your network. And when I say network, means network at different levels. Network at a professional level, which could be within the shipping industry. Network at a social level, which could be a social network. Network at a non-shipping related level. Network at a community level in a society where you stay. Network at a geography level in a place you stay. So network at a relative level. So there are different levels at which you can actually network with people to start sounding them that yes, I want to make a change, or start discussing with them, start bouncing of ideas, so that people start being aware that yes, you are looking for a change. That's the first part. You have to, and this is something some of us are good at it, some of us are not good at it, purely because we never felt the need of it, right? Even when I was in shipping, I didn't network too much. The network was related to only, a small set of people within that shipping industry, even sometimes within the same company. And then when I moved onshore, the network was primarily within the same company or within the same industry, again not outside. Only when I left Goldman Sachs and I started my own practice is where I started networking much more broadly. So this is a strong part of your preparation of stepping ashore, is start building and tapping into your strong network, right? And this is just to start sending feelers, and you never know where the next opportunity comes. That's first thing. Second is building your own profile. Now, profile building has two different things. One is obviously making sure your resume is a good, strong resume so that it attracts recruiters. Again, some of you may have never made your resume, and it is fine. I had never made a resume till I left shipping. Even when I was in Goldman Sachs, I entered Goldman Sachs with a single resume, and the same resume continued till I left. Only after that, I thought I have to remake my resume. So it's something not a priority for a lot of us, but your resume has to be worked on, and a lot of you may or may not be aware how to make a resume. And this is important because today your resume has to, one, a lot of companies are employing these auto tracking systems where a software or a computer sees your resume and then shortlists it. So you should pass that computer aided test. And typically the industry average is, when it reaches a recruiter, the typical industry average is that people look at a resume for about 6 to 10 seconds, and that may be much smaller, especially now in this current situation when there is so much of job losses happening and so many people out there searching for jobs. So there are more number of people looking out for jobs with lesser number of vacancies. So recruiters don't have time to look at every resume. So your resume has to stand out, has to highlight your key accomplishments, and has to tie back to the actual job where you're applying. So that's why building a resume is important. LinkedIn, again, for those of you who are aware, LinkedIn is one of the most underutilized platform for creating a professional network or job search or business, but probably the most effective today in the world. There are close to almost 675 million or 700 million people on LinkedIn today, and it started off as a professional network. Today, broadly, it is still a professional network. So one of the best places to be, especially when you're thinking about jobs and career, is LinkedIn. So building your LinkedIn profile is a part of your profile building. Then think about how to go about a job search. Right now, whether you use LinkedIn, you tap into online portals, you tap into your colleagues, then actually starting the job search as a process. Now, job search may take time, which is fine, especially in these conditions. Jobs are not easily available, but you have to be mentally prepared that whenever I'm thinking about a job search, it will take some time. It's a question of patience. It's a matter of patience. You cannot get frustrated or lose hope. It may take 3 months. For some, you may take more, 6 months, 12 months. We don't know that, but it's something which has to be done intentionally, continuously, with patience. Obviously, you have to get your story right. Interview preparation, as I said, a lot of you, like 50% of you are not aware what skills you have, right? So how do you tell the story about skills, about your accomplishment, what you've done at sea, and how do you link it to what are the competencies required for a specific job, right? You cannot keep on giving example, on the ship I used to do this, on the ship I used to do this. Fine, but how do you link it to what is required for that current role where you're applying? So getting a story right through resume or through case studies, through examples, preparing for the interviews is again important. Some companies also offer internships, especially in the defense sector. I know there are, for armed forces, a lot of company offers internship programs. Even some company offer program for lateral hires. So looking out for opportunities for companies who are offering internship. Internship gives you opportunity to work for 3 months, 4 months in a company and try it out and see whether you like the company, the job, the culture, and the company also is able to test you out and see whether you are a fit for that role or the culture of the company. And then finally, also looking at consulting or freelancing, and especially in these times, I think some of you might have heard of the term gig economy. Gig economy is all about freelancing, consulting, working for your own self independently, right? So I'm a consultant, I'm a freelancer. I have my own practice. So some of you may also want to think about consulting or freelancing as a career, and I have one of the upcoming workshops on just how to start a consulting career. So these are some of the ways to start the process. It is not the end of the process, because if you go through these steps, you will have a good starting point, and then it will take its own time. Then you have to do a variety of things within these various activities, but this is a starting point in terms of how to go about looking out for a job and what is best for me. Now the last question was, we said, okay, should we upskill? Should we go for a course? Should we go for education? So how many of you feel there is a need for upskilling or going for higher education? Let's do a quick poll now. A poll will come up. You can answer that. Let us know whether you really strongly feel whether it's required or not. A lot of you, strongly, majority of you feel that you need to upskill. Okay. Some you feel it's not required, which is fair. Nothing wrong in it. So majority of you feel, there is almost 87-90% feel that there is a need to upskill yourself, learn something new, learn some new skills, which is fine. And we'll address how to go about it. What is the skill you need to learn? We'll talk about that. What framework you can apply to find out what should you actually upskill. Upskilling or reskilling is a very commonly used term. So let's look at that as well. So one form of upskilling is, of course, or higher education. Will cover both now. So one is, of course, don't go on a learning spree, right? Don't just start doing random courses just because they are free now or everybody is doing. Let me start doing n number of certification courses and fill my resume with so many courses. It does not help. So don't go on a free learning spree at all. That's my strong advice at any point in time. Now, of course, more so over today, you see so many people are doing so many courses, all are free, and so everybody is doing that. Too many certificates will not help in your resume. Nobody cares about the number of certificates you have until it is a very specific certification which is relevant to that job, right? So relevancy is very important. So whatever training courses you are planning to or you want to do has to be relevant to the job you're applying, not because it is in vogue, everybody is talking about it, hence let me do it. For example, everybody's talking about machine learning or artificial intelligence or social media marketing or project management, let me go and do those. No, don't do that. You will not become a project management expert or a social media expert just by doing a course. Now, some jobs may have very specific requirements, like project management is a very good example. Sometimes some company may say, okay, we can look at a project management as a role, but we need PMP certification or Prince2 certification or Agile certification, different type of certification in the project management space. So some jobs may have very specific requirements which are the entry level or selection criteria. So in those cases, if you're trying to apply for those sort of job, then doing that course or certification may be helpful. Other than that, it's not necessarily required to go on that sort of binge learning. The other question is also, should I do an executive MBA, part-time MBA? Again, my experience is if you do a part-time MBA or executive MBA, which is distant learning or working on learning on the weekend, it's good for your sort of upskilling. It's good to change your perspective, broaden your horizon. But most of the time, companies do not value part-time MBAs or distance learning MBAs. This is again my personal opinion. It is not necessary that it is a widely held truth. I have experienced that, and I have seen when I interact with people. So it may or may not be true in your case, but generally what I've seen is, especially the distance learning MBAs is good for you, but not necessarily good from an employment point of view. And finally, whether you should do a full-time MBA program or not. Now, look, full-time MBA is not necessary. Will it help? Absolutely, yes. I did a full-time MBA because I had a strong feeling that I want to do an MBA so that it can help me bridge the skill gap which I have while working on shore. And this was, again, as you know, this is almost sort of 11, 12 years back. We didn't have too much connectivity. So there's less information available to us, right? Today, you are very much aware of what is happening in the world and other things. So I had a strong sense that I need to bridge this gap. And that MBA really provided a soft landing for me to learn new skills, to network with my peer group. So for me, that MBA program worked. I absolutely give total credit for my transition to that MBA program from shipping to shore job. Is it necessary? No. I know a lot of people who are doing exceedingly well in different not just shipping, but non-shipping related jobs as well without an MBA. So it is not a must, but it will absolutely help you. So that's where you're doing, but it is expensive. You need to take a year's break without salary. And I think C and Beyond is having a seminar, I believe tomorrow, on especially on the PG based program, which is the IIM Ahmedabad 1 year full-time program for experienced hires. So if you want to know more about that program, you can join the webinar, which C and Beyond is organizing tomorrow. So you can learn more about it. But again, don't have a feeling that it is absolutely must, I have to do it. No, you don't have to do it. If you do it, it will help. So I recommend strongly those who are thinking of MBA join this webinar tomorrow, and so that your doubts can be clarified. So now if you say, okay, fine, you've told me what not to do, but what to do, right? How do I go about finding out what is really important, or what can I reskill? So there's a process which I have defined there. So you can see how to go about choosing what course or what training you should do. And it's a process where you work backwards, for example, I said, all of us are good in operations management. So let's say you want to apply for a job in operations management. Uh, so what you do is your starting point is start searching for jobs which are in operations management, and you can search on either on LinkedIn or any other job website like Naukri, Indeed, Shine, Monster, wherever you want to go. Naukri by far is the best, but you search for those jobs of operations management. You download those job descriptions of the JDs, try to understand
Captain Harsh, we're unable to hear you. Can you try and to mute, unmute, and then join in? Captain Harsh, can you hear me? Guys, I hope you can hear me. Gaurav here. One second, let me call him up. Thanks, Captain Manish. Just calling Captain Harsh.
Sorry guys, can you hear me now? Sorry, I lost power actually, unfortunately. I'm going to, I'm going to just share my screen quickly back. Perfect, thank you. Sorry about that. There was a power. Yes, can you hear me? All of you can hear. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. For some reason, the UPS did not kick in, but that's fine. Let's continue quickly. So yeah, you search for those jobs, you look at the job descriptions, and then what you do is you find out what are the skills mentioned in the job description. So the job description will highlight, that these are the skills needed for that job. And then since we discussed what skills you're good at, you do a gap analysis that, okay, these are the 3 skills required for this job. These are the skills which I have. Do they match or not? If they match or not, obviously there's no need to do any course or upskilling. But if you feel there is a gap, then that highlights one area where you want to upskill. Now, sometimes your experience can take care of that skill gap. For example, as I said, project management. I was able to convince the recruiters that I have done enough project management and I didn't have any formal project management certificate. So I was able to convey through my stories. Now, if you feel that you don't have enough experience, but you still want to go and apply for that job, and it is just one skill or one certificate which is holding you back, then you can think about that specific program. So this is a very structured approach. You don't have to go and randomly start doing things. Go look at the type of jobs you're looking for, read those job descriptions, find out the key skills required, find out what skills you have, do a gap analysis. And then if your experience does not suffice, so this experience in terms of when you build your resume, when you prepare for interview preparation, all, you can see whether a story is coming out or not. And if it is not coming out clearly, then you can think, okay, if this is a skill, let me go ahead and do a course which helps me build that skill or helps me start sort of showcasing that, yes, I have done a formal qualification in that skill set. So then you can do, right? The other thing you can also do is sometime when you're targeting a different industry, for example, let's say you want to target finance and you have no information or knowledge of finance, some courses can help purely for you to be aware. Now they will not help you getting a job. So for example, all of a sudden you say, I want to go and work in a bank and I do a 6-month bridge course, and will it help me land a job? Probably not. But will it help you become more aware of that industry, more aware, especially when you're talking to recruiters, better prepare for the interview? Absolutely must. So think about, especially when you're targeting very different industries, some certification programs can help you prepare well for the job as such, may not necessarily aid in getting the job, but it's more a preparatory thing. So follow the structure to find out how to find out which skill you lack and what type of jobs you are applying for, and then try to do a course or a training or a program for that specific skill set only. Now, one thing I said, you can find these in LinkedIn, you can find the JDs in Naukri and all. Remember all the online portals like Naukri or or Indeed or Shine, they are all databases. You can keep on applying. Very rarely, you actually land up a job through that. So it's more about using them as a database where your profile is updated and you can see a lot of job descriptions coming. So you know which companies are hiring, which sectors they're hiring in, what sort of levels they're hiring in, what are the job descriptions. So that's one way, a good way, a very structured way to work backwards, saying what is my target, and then trying to come to this point and then finding what I should do really, instead of trying to do a course and then figuring out where should I go. And I think great thing is See and Beyond can help you. They have a lot of experts who can advise you in terms of building those skills, what skill, which course you should target. And I strongly recommend you to sort of leverage those expert calls which they provide. They also have a tie with a lot of different institutes, again, in different areas. So you can also connect with them later on and find out more about it. What are their current tie-ups, which type of educational institute, so that you have the right level of information to make that decision. So don't go on just binge learning or just because everybody is doing. Have this type of structured approach, talk to people and then decide. Okay. So that I am hoping answers to that, should I go and what should I do, to some extent. So that really covers the 4 questions we said. We said the what, we said when, we said how, and then we said whether you should go for higher education upskilling or not. Most important thing, right? You have to tie back your past experience to the job requirement. So for example, as I said, if the job is about operations management, make sure you look at your past experiences which are about operations management, and you bring that in your resume or in your interview, right? Each resume has to be tailor-made to a specific job role. It is not a generic resume. So you have to work on a strong generic resume, and then every time you apply for a job or you see a vacancy, that resume should map or match to the job where you're applying. It cannot be a generic resume. So tying back your past experiences and mapping that to the specific skills which are required in a job is very important. That's why we touch upon what are the skills you have, and then you have to bring out examples to showcase, okay, how are you saying that yes, you are good in operation management, you are good in risk management, you are good in people management. So showcase those sort of examples from your experience which can tell the recruiter saying, yes, you have done people management, you have done risk management, you are good in general management. And how you can do that, I'll share some examples. This is my own example from my resume. Again, you can see we have done all this, but it is just a question of getting your story right, projecting it in a way so that it matches to what people on shore are looking for. So it is not, okay, on the ship I should do like this. No, what are the specific keywords? What are the words they are looking for in terms of skill set, in terms of competencies, and how can I show my achievement or accomplishment to match those competencies? So first is really a simple thing around the ISM system. So I highlighted, okay, this was more showing about risk management, saying, okay, I did implementation of quality systems and I was able to achieve a track record of having no incident at all. So, yeah, so there was a way to tie back to, let's say you're applying to a job which requires you to be good in quality management or operation management. This was an example to tie it back. Now, if you don't project it this way, it's very difficult to highlight what you did, right? Similarly, if you look at, I highlighted in one of the cases where I had to apply for I think it was it was a consulting role. So I had to showcase, okay, how have I saved cost, right? So one of the examples could be, I have implemented PMS and, it reduced failure rate of equipment by, or operational failure by so and so percent. Now these are, and this is not, you're not telling lies, right? You're telling the truth. It's just that you had never projected this way. You had never linked and label of what you do in this manner. So I'm not telling you to fabricate anything. It is all about listing down everything we have done in your shipping career and then narrowing it down with the help of experts to say, okay, these are my top 3 accomplishments for that skill set. These are my top 3 accomplishment in people management or risk management or negotiation. So it's all about listing everything and brainstorming and figuring it out what is the right and as much as you can quantify. So for example, a simple statement, okay, you have planned so many voyages, and then by routing or using different means, you have actually saved certain fuel cost. So this is also a way to highlight, okay, I have done some cost saving, I have done inventory management. So again, it's all about you trying to first understand what are your skill set, what did you do, and projecting your accomplishments in a manner which people on shore understand, with least shipping language, but more tying back to what is there in the job description, what are they looking for. So that is where tying back experience is very important, and you must see this, you must read this, you must practice this so that you get your story right. It cannot be, oh, on the ship I used to do. So no, on the ship is fine, but not tell me what, link it to something you see on shore, right? So that's why you have to, linking and labeling is important, and tying back your experience to the job requirements is very, very important. And I can tell you, irrespective of what level, especially people who are at the top 4 level, you have enough experience, enough skills to do any job actually. A lot of practical experience we have. The final thing, before I end my presentation is what are the other considerations, right? When you're thinking about transition career, one is whichever job you get on shore is not going to be a large job mostly. So don't just be very picky. Okay, I need to get this job in this company, in this location. Now, of course, if you are at a very sort of, I would say, from an age point of view, if you think, you're making a transition very late, and as I said, there's no right or wrong time, then maybe you don't want to make too many transitions, but typically, don't think that, okay, I need to find the perfect job to make a transition, right? So it is not just like when you come out of college, your first job is never your last job. Similarly, when your first job is not necessarily your last job, it could be, if you like the company, you grow, fair enough. Like for me, I was with the same company in my shipping career. I was with Anglo Eastern. I stayed with them for 15 years. And then I was with Goldman Sachs for 9 years. So for me, it's ideally just 2 companies. And in fact, if I look at the industry, I've just worked with 1 company in 1 industry. So that could also happen, but don't just be too picky and choosy saying, okay, I need to find the perfect job. Also think about what are your negotiable and non-negotiable parameters when you're looking for job search. What this means is that, okay, what are you able to negotiate with in terms of job search? Is it the location? Is it the company size? Is it the role? Is it the salary? What are you able to negotiate and what you are not ready to negotiate? Not ready to negotiate could be, okay, I don't want a job with less than this salary, or I don't want a job which is not in my city, or I don't want a job it does not require, which requires travel. So what are you ready to negotiate? And you can list about 10, 20 points. What are you looking in a job? And then which ones you are ready to negotiate, which ones you are not ready to negotiate. Because once you have this figured out, that helps you narrow down your job search or increase your job search, either ways. If you have too many non-negotiables, it narrows your search. If you have a lot of negotiables, then it broadens your search. And then finally, be flexible, right? And flexible means you have to adapt you might have to take a salary hit. You might have to take a hit in terms of your status. Nobody will call you Captain Saab or Bada Saab on shore. Be ready to adjust to the fact. For me, it was a cultural shock when I joined Goldman Sachs. First year analysts calling me by name, and no title, no rank, nothing at all. So be flexible, be ready to adjust in an environment where you might have to adjust a lot in terms of your lifestyle, in the way. And the old days, oh, I am a captain, I'm a chief engineer, and I have to operate like that, will not work. You have to start from scratch, but you will have an upper hand, provided that you leverage your skills in the right way. So be very, very open about learning new things, about letting go of your ego, your pride. Don't carry your experience as a baggage whenever you go. So be flexible around those criteria. So that's something just from a mindset you have to be aware of. Okay, so we covered everything which we could in the last almost 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes. But let's look at what are the next steps for you, right? What can we offer you between C and Beyond and myself to help you really move ahead? So there are a couple of things we have. We have designed a career transition program. Again, it does not come free. There's a cost to it because we have to pay for our services. So one is obviously C and Beyond has a very special service in terms of resume building, and the cost of that you can see is 3299. This they can help you make a very strong resume, which can help you sort of apply for the jobs. So you can take their service. You can also avail for one-to-one coaching sessions through me. You can also, in fact, use any other experts which C and Beyond have on there, but you can also have a one-to-one coaching session with me. Those sessions will be 1 hour sessions where we can actually deep dive into your action plans, deep dive on your career coaching, what are your personal goals. We can also help you interview preparation. If you have any personal challenges, we can look into that. So it will be a purely one-to-one personalized coaching session, and the cost of that is $4,000. Now, I strongly request, please do not discuss these commercials outside this group, not even to anybody outside, because this is a very, very special rate I am offering to only the Marine fraternity. Please do not discuss that because it will sort of hamper my business. You can see there is a link I provided here. This is a public link. You can go and check this link. You will find my official rates are very, very different. I have provided almost 75-80% discount on that rates. Ultimately, I have to charge because this is my business, this is my earning, and I don't believe in free, because when you give free advice to people, people don't take it. So there is a cost to it, and the reason for that is it means you are invested and I'm invested, and we both can work together to help you. When people offer free advice and you will not take it, at some point you will not be interested, I will not be interested. So there is a cost, both in terms of your investment of money and time, and my investment in terms of my expertise and coaching expertise. So, but I strongly request all of you, do not discuss this outside, because these are not standard. This is about 80% discount from what I typically charge my clients. So this is what is an offer currently for all of you to take advantage of. Whoever wants to take advantage, I think that's a lead. So other thing we are going to do is we are also going to do a webinar on how to leverage LinkedIn. And a lot of you are following me on LinkedIn, and you would have seen, right? LinkedIn is a gold mine. LinkedIn is a gold mine to build your brand, for job search, to professional networking, whatever you want to call it, to be a thought leader. And we are planning to do a webinar only for this community, because I know a lot of mariners don't use LinkedIn the way you should. So we want to do a full-fledged webinar course on LinkedIn. And why I would do it, you can see this is my, some of you who follow, you would have seen a recent post I made. This is my LinkedIn journey in 5 months. So I've been active on LinkedIn in just 5 months, not before that. Before I was on LinkedIn, but not very active. And as you can see in this journey, in 5 months, my posts, my activities, my articles, blogs have reached 3.5 million views in just 5 months, which is one of the most phenomenal growths, I think, across different people in India. I don't know about global stat, but I can strongly say within India, one of the fastest growing profiles in India. Again, it's because I put in a lot of hard work. I spend 3, 4, 5 hours on LinkedIn every day. Because for me, as a coach, my audience is on LinkedIn, whether it is the CXOs, whether the CEOs, CXOs, everybody's on LinkedIn. So that's why I feel that's the right platform for me. So my posts have reached that. I've got amazing sort of response in terms of people who like my posts, the type of comments. It's absolutely fantastic to see. And I thank all of you who follow me on LinkedIn and provide your valuable inputs and feedback. So, and those who don't follow me, I encourage to follow to get a lot of updates on management, leadership, and various type of topics. And people who follow me know what the type of content I post. So these are just the stats, and these are this is all from my experience. This is not doing courses or trying to hack the system or trying to break the LinkedIn algorithm, nothing like that. It's purely trial and error, trying things, something working, something not working, learning from it, and over a period of time reaching this stage. So it's not easy. It is a very, very time consuming work I've done, and I'm ready to share all that which I have done, what has worked, what has not worked with all of you in a separate webinar, because it's like a proper course, but we'll do a webinar for that. And how has that helped me, right? For me, it has actually got me speaking engagements. It has actually helped me to be on TEDx. People invited me on TEDx only looking at my LinkedIn profile and the articles and my activity. I've been invited to podcasts, of other people, and people have hosted me on their podcast. I've got coaching assignments. I've got training assignments through LinkedIn, and I've been able to connect largely with my target audience through LinkedIn. So from a business point of view, it has helped me a lot because I'm a consultant. LinkedIn has become a big marketing and sales tool for me, even though I don't do marketing and sales, but purely because of the type of content I post. I've got a lot of business from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is an absolutely fantastic platform, especially if you want to be a consultant. It's also a fantastic platform if you want to do job search or build a profile. So that's really why I want to do a course on LinkedIn. So we'll do a webinar on LinkedIn, which will be all my learning. So it is not that I'm an expert in LinkedIn, I have experience in LinkedIn. So today you'll find there are so many people on LinkedIn who call themselves experts in LinkedIn. I don't know about the expert part of it, but I can share a lot of my experience because the numbers are in front of you to see. So what we'll cover in the webinar is how to build your profile in LinkedIn, how to really grow your network with the relevant set of audience, not anybody else. How to look at LinkedIn from purely from a job search or recruitment point of view, how to actually engage with people through content, how to create your own content if you want to be a thought leader or you want to be a consultant in your space. And also when special tips, which are really, I would say, I have figured out on my own. Some things very, very rare, which you will not find in any course or any training is I will share that with you personally. So that is all. We'll have a LinkedIn webinar. What I want to know is from all of you that will you be interested in attending a webinar on LinkedIn? It will be a paid webinar because it's like a course for all of you, but it can help you a lot jumpstart sort of your presence on that platform. So here's a quick poll from all of you whether you will be interested or not. If yes, we'll organize that. We'll let you know when, and if you feel no, then that's perfectly fine. So we see a large part of you are interested again, and we'll work with CN Beyond to figure out the timing and all for that. And if you're not sure, that's perfectly fine. Just follow me. You'll see the response we get and study about that. I think today it is very imperative for all the professionals to be on there, irrespective of what social media platform you use, whether it is Facebook or any other. That's a very separate sort of persona you have, but if you are a professional, if you want to network, if you want to grow, I think this is an absolute must for almost everybody. So I think it's good 2/3 of you want to do that. So we'll figure out the logistics and let you know when we'll organize that webinar, and then you're more than welcome to join. So that I think brings us to the end of today's presentation. I hope I've covered a lot. Hopefully most of your questions would be answered, but I will now open up to live questions or pre-submitted questions which you have and try to answer to the best of my abilities. Again, whatever we covered today, take what you think is relevant to you. If you feel it's not relevant, ignore it. It's entirely, each of you are unique. Each of you will have unique challenges, unique career journey, unique family life, and that's why we recommended the coaching program. But what we've tried to address is at a generic level, which is applicable to all. So take what you think is relevant to you, what is applicable. Whatever you feel is not relevant, ignore it or pass on to somebody who can benefit from it. So I will now open up to Q&A, and I will hand over to Gaurav to moderate the Q&A.
Right. First of all, thank you so much, Captain Harsh. Amazing session. Just to summarize at a very high level, the session we discussed on why a person would want to shift, where he would want to shift, where a mariner could possibly want to shift. What are the skills that a mariner has? Those 3 skills which we talked about, and of course at a more in-depth level there are many more skills as well, and more importantly, and which is was basically a lot of questions also came through, how networking was one of the key things. How do you network? How do you build your profile? What mediums do you use? How do you upscale yourself? And then very good insights, especially the one on doing a backward calculation on ensure where do you want to go, and then do a backward calculation. But I believe the moot question to many of us is, where do you want to go? And that is a very specific question, very personal to oneself, and this is where people like us, mariners who are sailing or maybe ashore, that's where I guess, guys, if you're able to figure it out, it's nothing like it. It's the best thing that you could do. If you know what you have to achieve, you will achieve it. but a lot of people are in the stage of they do not know what they want to achieve. And that is where, Captain Hirsch can come in. That is where probably a few experts on C and beyond could come in. But Captain Hirsch provides that scientific, more scientific, a certified kind of an approach, and he's kind of trained for it. And it'll encourage all of you to, talk to him as and when you have these questions coming to your mind. Yes, and to all of you, my request to you is please write the questions if at all you have in the Q&As. And if you have a question, so one second, I did not activate it. Now I've activated this. Now, if a similar question that you have and it has already been put across, then you can just do a thumbs up to that question. So which means what we'll understand is that this is a question or which need most of us to answer, and it will also prevent the repetition of a question coming through. So thanks, so guys, for your questions. I'll start taking in the questions. A couple of cases wherein you do not have the name written. So request you to please write your name on the question as such, so that I can, we can refer to you. This is a user. I don't know the name of user since it's not written, but the question is, what is the future of Indian seafarers? If this pandemic takes long and seafarer is unable to join ship with no flights in operation, what is the job prospect in case we decide to switch to shore option in this case? Guys, it's not sure how I mean, I'll leave it to you, Captain Hirsch, if you'd like to take this question. And
it's a question of economy and how when the world will recover. So it's very difficult for anybody, not just me, anybody to answer that question, right? Saying when will things recover, when will economy improve. So I don't know that answer for that. So it's a very difficult to answer. Now, does that change your prospects on shore? Maybe not, because shore, again, every industry is impacted. Shipping is not the only industry impacted. Every industry is impacted. So the number of jobs available ashore in not just shipping, non-shipping are far and few at this point of time. Now, when things will improve over time, over the next 6 months, 12 months, obviously, companies will come back to business. They'll start getting into growth mode from the survival mode. They start thinking about new business opportunities. So things will improve over time. Now, that time, nobody has that answer, unfortunately. So you will probably have to just wait and watch and see how the economy changes. I don't have an answer when the economy will turn around. But yes, if you are targeting, there are certain industries which are already opening up, right? Certain businesses have already pivoted and started doing something new. So if you're thinking of joining on shore, you can look at industry or sector which for sure have a growth potential. Like for example, edutech, technology and education. That's something which is booming right now because of the increased demand of online courses, online training, online classes. So the edutech is a big sector, and we are expecting that that should continue growing over the next few years, right? Similarly, telemedicine, again a big sector where again anything to do with digital, you will find will grow exponentially over the next few years purely because of this current crisis. Now, are there jobs in those sectors or companies is something you have to do a search. I'm sure there are enough opportunities there. It's just a question of trying to figure out the right sort of opportunity, but there are many more people looking for those jobs today, right, than they were ever before. So it is not easy to get a job in this current situation. So you will have to either be very patient in doing a job hunt or postpone your move to a shore at a slightly later point in time. So as I said, there's no right or wrong time. You can start thinking about it right now itself, but it may take more time to get a job, and you have to be patient with that. But in terms of economy, I don't think anybody in the world can answer when things will turn around.
Yeah, to that particular question, Professor Pingali from IMA, he's a professor in economics. He's going to give a 20-minute session on that, which is probably a best case scenario on or his feeling on how economy can come. So do a 10-minute session at 11 tomorrow. Go on to the question from Pushk Raj. How challenging was it to cope with the rigorous schedule and curriculum of IMA? I leave it for tomorrow, Pushkraj, and maybe the other question is probably relevant to this session, Captain Hirsch. how challenging was fitting into an academic setup after a long gap?
So I was mentally prepared. So there are two things, right? One is obviously you have to mentally prepare that this is what you're going to go through. It was really tough because if you see the 1 year course, especially, is like a 2 year program condensed into 1 year. So it is very rigorous, and it again it goes back to your individual capacity to absorb that much pressure. And once you realize that, you enjoy that, right? Because the first time you get into a, if you think about purely shipping, that is the first time you actually interact with people from different sectors, different industry at different levels. So that engagement is very, very beautiful. That experience is very nice. So when you start enjoying that experience, then the sort of stress or pressure becomes fairly normal for you to manage, right? Initially, it's a bit challenging because you don't know anybody and you are all alone, and this is the first time you're stepping a show. But once you get into the groove and you start enjoying, that's where you don't really feel that, and that intensity sometimes helps because you're learning so much. And the question is how long can you continue the streams? For example, when I joined the first two terms, I was really doing exceedingly well. I was sort of I think I was in top 5 in my class, and I was just pushing myself. Then I realized, then somehow I had the energy sort of dissipated. I said, no, let me not burn out completely. Let me just focus on things which I want to learn. Like finance is something I wanted to learn. So then the next few terms, I just focus on those subjects which I wanted to learn rather than trying to make good in everything, right? So I think it's an enjoyable experience, and all of you can manage that. It's not something which you cannot.
Right, sir. I'll take this is a question from a few participants, and just to call out two names from Rajesh M and Captain Manish. What is the apt age to leave sailing as such? And Captain Manish, question was more on for a master mariner, maybe on a generic thing. What's probably an apt age to leave?
No, as I said, no, there's no right or wrong time for leaving, right? My personal experience is people today see me very differently because I was a captain. So if you simply ask me at what time one should leave, my suggestion would be if you can take your command and then leave, nothing like it, because your persona which you build on shore is very, very different. Now, is that a generic rule to apply? No. I know so many people who are left as third officers, second officers, chief mates, and doing exceedingly well in their careers. So again, there is no general rule. But again, if I simply take my story, people look up to me a lot today purely when I say I was a captain on a ship. So if at all you can manage to get command and then leave, nothing like it. Once you get a command, again, it's a question of going back to the why. Again, I think all of you are getting fixed. Okay, should I leave or when should I leave? No, first is why should you leave? If you're enjoying sailing, no need to leave. If you want to do something different, answer that you have that why figured out. Okay, then the question of when. No, there's no right time. You can leave today if you want and start the process of how. So keep this in mind. There is no right time. There is no time horizon. It is very unique to you how you want to take your career journey. Like this time, this is a time of uncertainty. Can you leave your job now? You can leave, but be aware that finding a new job may take more time. Versus if you want to wait for 1 more year, continue sailing, earning so that the things settle down, economy recovers, and then you quit, maybe the chance of getting a job are much higher at that point. So there is no age and all or a number of years in command. But my personal stories, if you can get your command and then quit, nothing like it, but does not stop you from quitting at any other point in time, really, right? So remember, it is not about quitting. And that's the thing. It's not like I'm fed up and I want to quit. It's about I want to do something different. And the driver could be very different for all of you, right? Quitting means I have to leave now because of family, health, some pressure I'm experiencing, hence I have to leave. And that is very unique to your situation. And so until we get into that level of discussion, it's very difficult to say, okay, you should leave now versus 2 years, 3 years, because your situation is very, very unique as compared to everybody else.
Right, sir. So there's a question from Captain Akhil Malhotra, and it's got 4 thumbs up. So let me just prioritize this question over others right now. His question is, as master, is it necessary or a requirement to do an MBA to make an entry ashore? So is MBA a requirement to make an entry ashore? Can we enter the market with with only WorkX and present qualification? Is the relevant chance to get a break? That's the first question of it. And second is entering a non-shipping market with master WorkX. How do companies see us as a candidate without MBA?
So one is, I said, I covered, right? MBA is not important. MBA is not mandatory. Will MBA help? Absolutely yes, but it is not mandatory. So whether shipping, non-shipping, MBA is not a mandatory thing. If you, again, if you want to do it, if you are interested in studying, if you are interested in academics and you want to do it, go ahead and do it, but it's not mandatory. Coming to second point, how do people see your experience, your profile without an MBA? People value a lot. I can tell you that. I don't know about now, but there was a time when Google used to hire a lot of people from naval background because of the problem solving skills and all. So your profile is very, very unique. Each of you who are selling, your profile is extremely unique because, as I said, now the skills you have got is very, very unique and very rare. It is just a question of projecting those skills in the right manner so that people see it. Yes, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what the open role wants, and this person has those skills. So all of you, the skill set we have is very, very unique, and that's why if you can get your resume right with those skill set, it becomes a very, very strong resume. So getting a job on shore without an MBA is very much possible. Again, you have to follow that process. Okay, which industry, which sector, do the jobs, or get your profile, get your skill set right, get your accomplishment right, and believe in that. Because when you believe in that, then when you're talking to people, when you're telling your story, people see that passion, people see that energy coming out, and people get convinced. In my example, when I joined Goldman Sachs, I had to go through 13 rounds of interviews, 13 rounds at local level, at global level, in India, in UK, I remember somebody from Tokyo took my interview, somebody from New York took my interview, different levels, and all of them knew, and at successive seniority levels, and everybody knew that I didn't have any knowledge of finance. But the way I was able to weave my story that yes, I can do this job, I know about it, I have done it, was kept on convincing people that this is the right person for that role. So you have to be very convinced that you can do any job, and I can tell you, you can do any job. Think about it. When you work on ships, you have learned the art of working in a constrained environment or in a resource constrained environment. Who is there to help you in the middle of the ocean? Nobody. Whatever situation you face, you do it on your own. You do with whatever skills, whatever people, whatever material you have on the ship itself. So you have learned to, you are master of working in those sort of environments, and these are very, very unique skills. Question is, are you projecting them in a manner? Are those skills coming out rightly through your profile? Are the skills coming out rightly through your story is the question. But believe me, the profiles are very, very strong. Yes, your starting point could be may not be all of a sudden, if you think, okay, as a captain, I will get a vice president role or a director role, maybe not happen, may not be happen. In shipping industry, may happen because they value that rank or the role. So you may get a lateral entry at a fairly senior level. But if you're trying to change an industry, may not be possible, right? And be ready for that. And that's why I said that being flexibility, recalibrating your expectation is important. And it is possible that you get a fairly senior job. It is possible you may not get, you may get a middle management type of role, and be okay with that, because that is not your end job, right? Once you start with that, once you prove to people you can do it, once you grow from there, you can make your own career, right? So be very open about the fact that yes, if I'm applying, I'm not just aiming just for the topmost role. I have to get a chairman role. No, you can start for middle management level. It's fine, because when you're going to a new industry, think about the company. The company is also going to take a risk by hiring you who do not have any industry or functional knowledge. So for company also, that is a big risk. Company has to invest in you in terms of training, upgrading yourself, and helping you adjust to the environment. So you also then have to prove that yes, you are the right person for the role, deliver. And once you deliver, you will grow, right? I joined in Goldman Sachs, I joined as a project manager. Then I proved myself that I'm a good risk manager. I was moved into risk management. And then my final role in Goldman Sachs was I was managing their payment and treasury operations in India, which was a hardcore finance role. So it's a question of how much do you prove once you join a job, once you get into a job, really, right? I hope that answers.
I hope so, sir. And thanks for a detailed answer. My just 2 cents on it, and I get this question a lot of time. If you want to focus only on shipping, and this, I would like to kind of relate it back to that slide. Understand where you want to go, do that backward calculation. So if you know that you want to do big in shipping, maybe an MBA is not very important. But if you want to get into an investment banking, you want to get into IT, you want to get into non-core shipping fields, maybe an MBA is probably more required. So that much, just two cents on this, Captain. Others. I'll take Rajesh's question, 4 thumbs up on this. What is all about consulting? What do you do in consultation business? And I assume, Rajesh, are you asking about what Captain Harsh does, or are you asking about a generic consultation business?
I can answer both if you want, just to
go ahead, sir.
So what I do today, I am into consulting. So primarily I do two things, right? I am an executive and leadership coach. So what I do is I actually coach senior leaders in organizations, and I coach them on a one-to-one basis. So individual sessions with senior leaders, which can help them move up their career ladder, which can help them be successful in their personal and professional life. So that's a one-to-one coaching. It's not counseling, it's not mentoring, it's proper coaching, right? That's one thing I do. The other thing I also do is I do a lot of leadership development programs. So when organizations need training programs for their senior leaders, I conduct those training programs or workshops and various interventions. So those are two things I do. I also consult with the organization if they want to look at their people practices, anything which needs to change, whether it's a talent development, talent acquisition, performance management, any of the people related process, I consult them also. So that is what I do in brief. And then obviously I do speaking engagement, public speaking engagements. Companies call me to do talks at their end. So that's what I do. In general, what is consulting is, consulting means somebody is hiring you for your expertise, and they have a problem and they want you to look into that problem. So there are different type of consultants. For example, there are people who are process consultants. So these are people who are hired by companies to come and look at the process and how can the process be improved, how can it be automated, and those sort of things. So consultancy means you are good in some specific domain, and somebody is hiring you to help them in that specific domain, right? It could be for business growth, it could be for process improvement, it could be for business turnaround, it could be automation, it could be various things. So the consultant will come and understand the problem statement in the company, and then based on his or her experience and expertise, they will advise a solution, and they will and the company will implement the solution. That is very high level what consultant does. I hope at a high level it answers. If you want more details, we can get on a separate call or something for you to understand.
Thanks, Captain Harsh. I'll take a question from Yash Gupta. With a shipping background, do we have more chances of growth in shipping industry ashore, or we must upskill ourselves to venture into other industries like finance, marketing? Honestly, Harsh, it's a very, very specific question to oneself, and it is one to his own. I'll let Captain Harsh answer it.
See, again, we have seen examples of both. We know people from shipping who have been in shipping and doing exceedingly well. We have seen people who have left shipping and are doing exceedingly well in different industries. So again, there is no, all of you are trying to get answers as a framework, definitive answers. These are not definitive answers. You can be very successful remaining at sea. You can be very successful coming on shore and working into the shipping industry. And you can be very successful coming on shore and working in different industries. So it is totally up to you. It is your success. No, it's not a general thing. If you say everybody is successful in shore, should I go to shore? No, there is no general framework to operate into. It is your unique skills, your unique journey, right? And as I said, there are enough examples on both the sides, really, right? So I would say that don't worry about what others are doing. Think about what you can do. What is your interest? What do you want to do? Do you want to remain in shipping? And there is no guarantee. You cannot say that, okay, because somebody was successful in shipping, hence I should go into shipping, because you may or may not be equally successful. So there's no point comparing yourself with others, right? Similarly, if somebody has gone into a non-shipping industry and they have done well, can that help you sort of chart your path? Obviously. Will you have the same path? No, you will have a very different path. So be very aware that it is not a general framework in which you can operate. It is very specific to you. Either ways, you can be successful in your career.
Thanks, Captain Hirsch. I'll take Ashish and Neeraj question in the same this thing, and as this is a little bit probably off the course, but still let's take these questions. Any info to learn from the best regarding finance, especially investment and particularly in stocks? This is probably because of your experience in Goldman Sachs. And Neeraj wants to, and a couple of more folks want to pursue in investment banking. How best could they do it? I know probably it's not a 2-minute answer and cannot be taken in this, but I'll like to hear from you, sir.
So for if you want to get into stock trading and all, there are a lot of online courses today. There are a lot of trainers who can, there are enough courses in the market. You'll have to search for it. So I have not any stock trading course, so it's difficult to recommend a specific trainer or a course, but there are enough courses which can teach you the basics of stock trading or stock market investments. And within that, there are different things, right? Do you want to become a stock trader? Do you want to get into personal finance? Do you want to get into portfolio management? Again, broad, too many things there, right? So it's not one thing, right? But I think there is enough information you can search in terms of if you are, so again, you should go back and think, what is it I want to do? Do I want to learn about a stock market course because I want to trade in stocks or I want to invest in stocks, or because I want to join that as an industry? So these are two different objectives. And the same course will not necessarily help you solve both the objectives, right? So if you want to invest in stock, you want to become a trader and you want to become an investor, then you can learn about it and trial and error, practice it and do that. Or you can give it to somebody else to manage your portfolio. But if you want to get into that field, that is a very different, that's a full sort of academic program for you to actually learn more about it so that you can apply in those jobs. Now, if you want to get into investment banking as such, like I did, there are companies who provide bridge courses. Now they don't guarantee jobs, and one of the companies, I think it's Imarticus, if I'm not wrong, and I think C and Beyond would also have some more information on it. So there are certain companies who offer bridge courses for you to learn more about investment banking operations, but they don't guarantee a job. What you can do is you can actually look at some of the top investment banks. You can go to Naukri or LinkedIn, find out the type, maybe not Naukri, maybe LinkedIn is the right place, find out the type of job roles they have actually advertised, which are open at different levels, and read the job description and see if it matches with what qualification you currently have. And if you have, I would strongly recommend you to start applying and start experiencing that process, because uh, going into investment banking, you need to know what are the skills required, right? That's one thing. The other thing you can also look at, tap into the referral of people who are related to investment banking so that they can refer your profiles in those places and see what if something can be done about it. The third is, if you want to get into hardcore finance type of roles, then one qualification which I've seen helps to some extent is the CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, and CFA is level 1, 2, and 3. It's a fairly tough course to crack. It's not easy. It requires a lot of academic recover, and you have to be very dedicated and committed to do it. But if you're able to do that, then sometimes you can land into some good financial goals. But again, these are, I think, broad guidelines I can say, which can help you sort of start the thought process, I think.
Right, sir. Thank you. I'll take Mohit's question, and I would imagine Pushkaraj, your question is probably the same. And this is a very, very common question which we get, and you've tried to answer this in your slides as well. What is the right time to switch? Operational level or management level? That's probably the first part. And what's the right age to switch? Time to switch, at what level, and the age to switch?
As I said, no, we said there's no right or wrong time. So my personal choice, if I were in any of your positions, I would switch at a management level, and ideally I would switch after getting my command. And this is purely my personal preference. And this is, again, I'm saying purely because my own experience when I moved shore was very different when people saw me as being an ex-captain from Merchant Navy. When you are, so it's all a question of the persona you build, right? So I would recommend, if you can, again, you don't have to follow it necessarily, that if you want to think about moving shore, get your command and move on shore. That's the right, in my opinion. Again, it is in no way stopping you from moving on shore much earlier, right? That's one thing. In terms of age is very, very independent. Yeah, these are very individual questions. When you will get a command, I don't know. I don't have that answer for that. And that age will also, there's no age criteria, right? I moved at a very late stage in my life. When I moved, I was 35, right? So some people may say, okay, that was a late age to move, right? So there's no, again, right or wrong here. It's all depends on your, again, you all are trying to get definitive answers for your very personalized questions. And nobody can get you that answer, right? If I tell you 30 is the right age, will you move at 30? Maybe not. Because I don't know your personal situation. I don't know what is your family life. I don't know your financial situation. I don't know what you want in life. What are your interests? I have no idea about that. You're unique person, right? So remember, when you're trying to find personalized responses, you need to get into that personal discussion. Otherwise, it's a very generic question. There's no like quit at 30. No, it doesn't work that way. Or don't quit at 30. It doesn't work that way. People are left at very early, and there are people I know, so many masters are still sailing. They've not left there enjoying sailing, right? So you will have all these different examples at all extremes, right? So, and you have to pick the spot which works for you. Like some of you have said, I want to leave in 1 to 3 years time, which means that whatever age you are thinking 3 years from now, I want to leave. So you have some idea when you want to leave. So there's no holy grail of the age saying that this is the age when you should leave. I would shy away from giving any recommendation on the age. Experience, yes. My personal recommendation would be command, but it may not necessarily be the case for you.
Thank you, sir. My 2 cents on this is, whenever you leave, start preparing. And if you have to leave, start at least preparing for it as soon as possible. Take Abhiranjan Banerjee's question. Will it not be a big hit below the belt to start again as management trainee and go up the ladder and start from scratch? Few might be lucky to be consumed on top levels, but few might get a start at management trainees. Will it justify being top 4 and then give it all and start from scratch again? Very good question.
See, I'll tell you, if you are in top 4, the chances of you getting at a management training level are not, I won't say company will take at a trainee level. And even if at all they go, it will be a very short duration. So I don't think companies who see your experience as 10, 15 years of sailing and being in one of the top 4 will take you at an entry level. I have not come across any such examples so far. Yes, will they put you in training for some time, like a probation, and then sort of put you into a new role? Yes, that is possible. So the likelihood of you at a senior level going at a training level is less. Will you be on a probation or training for some period of time before you prove yourself? That is possible because you are getting into a new role, new industry, so you have to prove yourself, right? That's about the training part. The chances are more or less, if you have sufficient experience and if you are able to project yourself that way, you will probably go at somewhere at a middle management level. Again, it's very unique to the company job offer and yourself. But yes, if you land in a situation where, okay, despite everything, you are only getting an offer to enter a training level, it is purely your choice, right? There's no hit, right? Your situation, your requirement is very different than others, right? I had to take an education loan to do my studies, right? Now, again, your situation is very unique. Remember, nobody is forcing you to leave shipping. Nobody is forcing you to quit and go into a shore career. It is a very, very independent choice all of you have. Not because others are doing, not because what the world is doing, because you want to do or not do. So don't do things which you don't want to do. If you want to quit sailing and get into shore, okay, look at the options which are coming out. If you feel, okay, none of the options are coming out, I'm getting all these job offers or entry level and don't want to do it, fine. Don't make that compromise. Nobody is forcing you to make a compromise. So remember that, whether you get a trainee level, whether you get a salary cut, whether you get a small job, you still have a choice not to do it. Right. So it is your personal situation. Now somebody may say, no, I really want to do it because I want to switch industry. I want to learn and I'm just fed up with sailing. I want to do it. And those people at that level may be ready to compromise. Right. And some people are not. So it is again your personal choice, right? It's not a hard and fast rule. You have to do it. And sometimes, even if suppose you enter at an entry level or maybe not entry, maybe a junior level relatively, training, though I don't think it will happen if you have enough experience. So training, I think I can safely rule out. You could be put on probation training, that's fine. But even if you are taken at a junior level or relatively junior level, if you feel that way, You can negotiate that with the company before saying, okay, this is the level you're taking me. Tell me when will I move to the next level? Is it 6 months, 12 months? Have that path discussion with them. And if you feel okay within 1 year, you can move to a relatively senior level or middle level, basis your performance, then there's no harm going for it, right? Just like when you join shipping, when do you know when will you get promoted to from a career to second officer to chief officer? Captain, it's not guaranteed, right? Some people take 3 years, some take 5 years, some people have taken 10 years to get a command. So different experiences you have, and those are very unique to you. So similarly at Sure, right? So one is if you sense that the role or offer you're getting is at a junior level, have that discussion with the company up and say, okay, tell me what is the career part, tell me what are the my future progressions, and tell me when and how it will happen. And you still have a choice to take or not take it. And the other is, if at all you still end up taking, then go and work hard and prove yourself. And there is no reason if you work hard, you will not get moved to the next level. Like when I joined Goldman Sachs, I joined at a vice president, but I realized that I should have maybe gone at a senior level. And I thought that way. But in, I think it was 1.5 years, I worked hard and I got promoted to the next level. So ultimately, in the long run, it will even out. If you prove yourself, if you deliver value, and if you really do good work, it will even out.
Right, sir. Thanks a lot. Captain Akhil's question, and it's a quite a relevant one, and a lot of marinas have this question. How do you see the working environment ashore in terms of stress levels and management on board as master?
So I'll tell you, one is when you come on shore, you will miss the sea. That's for sure. And the reason I'm saying is that shore job, depending on type of industry, no job is easy, right? No, especially in the private sector, when you think about working with multinational, there's no job which is a cakewalk, which is easy. There's no 9 to 5 job. There's no luxury like that, right? Everything will appear very rosy from the outside. But when you get into that, every job will require you to work 10, 12 hours a day. Maybe there sometimes you have to work on Saturday, sometimes weekends are consumed. So there is no job which is easy, right? That's one thing. But that's how just the nature of the work is, right? Yes, you will get a benefit to stay with your family, but how much time will you end up spending with the family? It's very questionable. Like during some point of my career, I was in a job where I would leave at 9 and come back at 9, and when I would come back, my kids were already gone to sleep. So I would just see them off in the morning, and that's about it. So for 5 days, literally, I was with the family, but not with the family in a way. So, and if you compare that with the quality time you get when you come on shore leave for a few months, 24/7, you are with your family, right? So that quality you will find missing. But obviously, you end up balancing it out in the long run. So jobs are stressful, jobs are intense, but with whatever we have done at sea, you will find you can easily work with that. The key thing is about longer duration rather than the stress, because I can assure you, all of you have faced a lot many stressful conditions, stressful situation at sea than what you will see on shore. You have faced a lot of crises, a lot of risk situations on sea. So anything which you deal with on shore will appear to be relatively easy, and all of you can confidently do it. What you have to get to the lifestyle of working long hours, that's one thing, because on ships you don't necessarily work extended long hours, right? Two is you have to get used to the fact that you have to sit in front of the computer in most of the jobs and work 10, 12 hours a day looking at computers, getting into meetings and all that, which is again you have not done before. Like I had never made a PowerPoint presentation in my shipping career because it was never needed, right? But when you come on shore, a large part of the job is just meetings and presentations, those sort of things. So you have to adjust to that fact. That is what the job is all about. So it is a question of just adjustment and recalibration. All of you can easily do it because you have just handled much more than what you have than this at sea. Just be aware, extended long hours, sitting in front of a computer, it's not a mobile job. Mostly you will be, at ship, it's very physical job. You're moving all the time. It's very action oriented. Shore will not be so action oriented. And then you will find, getting into meeting, people discussion and all, you have not done that much. So nature of job will change, but stress and all, don't worry about that. You can easily manage.
Right, sir. Thanks a lot. And just to add one more point on a lighter note, on the ship, you are not answerable as such to your family. They're not probably waiting for you. over here, if you work for 12 hours, you have to make those 6 extra calls on your additional time that you're working. So that's the other thing. Amit, I guess you've taken your question on how fast is the growth in career ashore compared to that in sailing. Captain Harsh has already talked about it. What are the from Prateek? What are the other higher education options other than MBA? There are a few which CN Beyond has highlighted, but from a I'll like to hear from you, Captain Harsh, on this. We will have a wider.
No, I know people going for MBA. I know people going for MSc. I know people have gone for MSc in either transportation, in logistics. Yeah, I think those are the key things I know of. And so anything which is sort of in a way post-graduation, and post-graduation typically either MTech, MSc or MBAs. I think those are key areas where people, most of the things I know, people have gone. I know certain people have even done PhD also. There are people who have been into academics, they have done that as well. So there are a variety of options. Again, today there is too many options for you to look at. The question is, you have to sit and again not compare and think what others are doing. Think about what do you want to do. Like 1 year back, I was thinking of doing a PhD, but then over time I realized, no, I don't want to do PhD. I'm very happy where I am because I didn't want to get into a 3-4 years of study mode again. So there are, I think, MSc and MBA are two most popular things which I know of, which people are currently doing actually. And most of the people are doing, especially the MBA, most of the people are doing the 1 year program. In India, there are a couple of options, and CN Beyond has already tied up with a couple of places which can give you more information, or people go abroad and do it to get a different exposure. So there are, and in some cases that I've seen, especially on the engineering side, people have done some short-term programs in some of the upcoming technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, and ML, and they have done some startups. So startups is also a very good option for people who want to start something of their own, right? So something we discuss around freelancing consulting, you can also think about having your own startup if you have an idea to work on, or if you have a partner who has an idea and you want to work with them and have a startup.
That's exactly the next question. What is about from Puneet Kumar. Wants to start a business leveraging the knowledge of shipping after working on management roles. And then while you were talking on it, maybe I thought you could just customize.
Okay. So yeah, so see, startup again. A lot of people want to start a company because everybody is doing a startup. But don't go by that. Think about, do you want to start a business or a company or your product? If you have a strong idea and you want to work on it, or somebody you know has a strong idea and you want to partner with somebody and create something of your own. If you want to, again, it is not a fad that everybody is doing something of their own, so I have to do it. You don't have to do it. But if you want to create something your own, it's your idea or somebody else. With shipping, you have enough management experience to manage a startup. When I say manage, means the operations and the running of a function. You may not have any technology experience, especially of those who are coming on from the deck side. So you need somebody who's good in technology. So like a CTO or something, somebody who can be a co-founder, and you can definitely have your own startup. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And again, when you do a startup, again, you're starting from zero. So whether you get a job offer or do a startup, you are again starting from zero. And it will take your time to establish and build a business and get money or revenues. All these things will have its own time cycle. It may work, it may not work. So be very aware of that. So anytime when you're thinking of doing something new, there will be certain things which you have to take risks with. But startup, obviously, I know a lot of people on shipping who have gone ahead and build their own startups and working in different ideation. So if you have a strong idea, or somebody who has a strong idea, feel free to explore that option, right? Or you can be a passive investor into a startup while you continue to sail, and then once the startup has reached a certain point and the idea is validated, and then you can quit and join the startup as a full time. So there are various ways to look at it, I think. But startup definitely is a good option, provided that you have a genuine idea to work on. It is not that I want to do something, but when you want to do something, what do you want to do? So somebody, either or you yourself should have a genuine idea to start exploring.
Right, sir. I hope this answers your question, Puneet. I'll club Captain Akhil's question and Prateek Agarwal's question. Which MBA is probably better for a mariner, generic, or an MBA in shipping? And Prateek adds shipping and logistics. So that's
I mean, it again goes back to, do you want to be in the shipping sector or not, right? So if you want to be in the shipping and logistics domain, then in my opinion, first MBA may not be necessary also, because a lot of people can hire you based on your experience in the industry itself, you know. But you still want to remain in the shipping and industry and you still feel MBA is good, then go ahead and do it, right? But I don't think shipping or MBA and logistics and marine is necessarily relevant to be in the shipping industry, until unless you are looking at areas such as insurance or law where you have to do an additional qualification. Those are other qualifications which people do. To one of the earlier questions, right? People going for maritime law and become a lawyer, people going to insurance and become a marine insurance guys. So those are some other additional courses which you can think of. But if you want to look at areas outside shipping, then a general MBA is good. And most of the time, a 1 year MBA program is good for people who have a lot of experience. Uh, so in India, there are several programs now today. Most of the top institutes have offer the 1 year programs, and those I think are most ideal suited to people who have experience. And I'm talking experience means maybe 5-7 years and above experience. So there are at least good 5-6 good programs which you can do. There's a lot of good learning and good value for money. Uh, there are only few institutes I know abroad who offer 1 year programs. Very few institutes. Otherwise, most of the MBAs abroad are 2 year program, but there are about maybe 7, 8, or 10 universities which offer 1 year programs. But these are quite expensive. And again, the job situation, the market situation, the visa, the language, all these you have to consider when you're going abroad to do an MBA. I felt comfortable doing it in India because I felt, especially at that time when obviously we were into recession, the global economy was not as good. So I was not very certain that if I go and do a program outside, will I get a job or not? In India, again, I had some greater confidence. It does not mean that any institute can guarantee a job, but I had greater confidence in doing it from India. But I think we have very good options today to do the programs in India. And I know most of mariners are doing those programs either from ISB, IMA, B, C, L, Indore, wherever these 1 year programs are. So I think today the options are much more. It's a question of how much, where you want to target again, do some research on type of companies which are coming there, type of people who have been earlier from shipping in those batches, and selection criteria and those sort of things. And I think, Indian programs are good, in my opinion. And then C and Beyond obviously is holding those seminars. I would strongly recommend attend those webinars to get more information so that you can make an informed decision.
Thanks, Captain Harsh.
I know we are at 4:30. Do you want to take 1 or 2 questions more?
Yeah. Absolutely. Then let me take a couple of more relevant ones. There's an anonymous attendee. His question is about building a CV for job profile. If we plan to switch over to Shore, our company is really interested to take people from C. Oh, I thought it was about CV.
I've already answered that, right? Your profile, your profile, your job experience is very, very unique. Again, think about how can you make yourself suitable for that job. So every time when you think about the company side, you cannot answer that question because you are trying to answer a question from somebody's perspective which you cannot represent, right? So think about how can you project yourself as the best candidate for that job. So it is up to you, right? And let's say you have a role in risk management. How can you show yourself that I'm very good in risk management? So my profile, my LinkedIn, my interview, my story, everything is telling you that I'm really good in risk management. I've done all this. It may be in different industry, but I've done that. So how can you convince? So instead of trying to think from the company side, think about from your side, saying ultimately it is your job to convince the company, right? So there is nothing wrong with a CV from shipping. I think it's a very, very strong CV, provided that you make it strong. If you simply write third officer, second officer, G officer, which nobody understands, nobody will know about it, right? It will not pass any muster. So your profile has to be very thoughtfully built so that people see the experience, people see the value, people see the value you bring to the table, the type of unique experiences you have, and they invite you for a discussion. That has to happen. You cannot simply write, I am a cadet, second officer, third officer, and then assume people will know. No, you have to show them. Otherwise, people don't know it, right? People know merchant navy, people know shipping, but do people know exactly what you do? Do people know the complex things you do? You know. Does your family even know the type of complexities you deal with? If they have not shared with you, maybe not, right? So until you tell your story, how will people know? And when you tell your story in a compelling manner, there is no reason why people will not notice you. Now, whether a shipping profile will be preferred over something else, maybe not. But if you do it, and when you start the process, it is not that the first company where you apply, you will get a job. It is an iterative process. You will learn over time. You will get better at making resume or interviewing or applying. It's a process. It's a process, and you have to go through that process. And the process will take time, and you will learn from it. But don't undermine yourself. I think all of you and the profiles are very unique, strong. Provided that it is backed by what you tell people, right?
Right, sir. Let's take last two questions. This one is from Mohit. How would you rate LinkedIn learning courses in terms of gaining basic knowledge of soft skills?
I mean, I have not done any LinkedIn course so far. I know there are a lot of opportunity, but again, I said, people are today doing it because it is available and people are doing it. So learning has to be backed by application. So if you're not going to apply any of the knowledge and just doing a certificate for the sake of it, I don't see any value in it. So for example, if you did a course on, let's say, project management, but if you're never going to apply that knowledge anywhere, or it is not going to be relevant to your job, then what's the point, right? So today, what is happening because of lockdown and now people are at home, people are access, courses are free, people are doing it. But don't do any course without the relevancy and without the need to apply. So learning offers courses, but it's like any other academy which is offering courses today. So don't just go on learning spree. I have not done a single course in last 3 months. I only attended one training program, which is one was on how to develop your own podcast, because I want to launch my own podcast and it's something on my bucket list. So I did a program on how to launch my own podcast. That's the training program I did. So my recommendation is learning or any other platform is good, provided that you need that learning. If you're doing for the sake of it and I'm free and let me do it, don't do it.
I think the question from Captain Manish, which essentially asks, is there a ceiling on the age of hiring to tap the individual potential on the most productive years?
No, there is no ceiling. In fact, again, it goes back to how do you project, right? It all goes back to, do you think 40 is late? No, because 40 could also mean that you have so much experience that people will value that experience. Do you think 40 is late for a startup? No, because today a lot of startups have very old founders and we see are looking at some of the startups purely because they have a very strong management team. So there is no right or wrong age, right? You are not going to lose out if you quit late, and you may not necessarily gain anything by quitting early, right? So it's a question of what experience I have, and again, can I project that experience to be right for that role? So some companies may say like lateral hiring at a senior level typically is 15, 20 years of experience, right? Which means that, and it's not just related to shipping. Even if you look at people who are moving within industries on shore, there are people who move out after 15, 20 years. But in that time, they have gained so much experience, and that experience is what qualifies them for their next role. So there's no age for that, and you will not be at a disadvantage by not quitting early. Yes, there are certain roles you may find may not necessarily state that this is the type of age I'm looking at, but you yourself may find, okay, I have so much experience, why should I apply for that role? Like for example, like somebody said, entry level. So if it's a junior role, you may not want to apply for that, right? Because you feel it's too much of a hit in terms of seniority. So I think if with 10-15 years experience, you can easily go at a fairly good middle management role, and from there you can grow at a fairly senior role. So even if you have 20 years experience, nothing wrong. You can get a very good sort of middle or sort of senior middle management role in companies, provided that you convince people that you are the right person for that. So there is no automated process that I have from my experience, I have captain a license, I will get. No. You have to prove it. You have to prove it to people that you are the right person.
Right. So let me take this one final question from Jagdish. I think it's quite relevant. And this is on the negative side of it. What skills after a transition to office job? What all skills you think as mariner we lack, and what we have to work on?
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, I think this is a good question. So what we lack is, so sometimes we may lack, let's say, mm, listening skills. So especially as the more senior you go, a lot of times you are used to giving orders. But when you come on shore, you have to develop very good listening skills because you have to listen to everybody. A junior, senior, that's something I think people should develop is good listening skills, right? Uh, Good presentation skills. A simple thing, but because we have not done enough, and a large part of every job today requires you to speak out, to present yourself. So we may not be good in presentation skills, even just public speaking, right? So many jobs require you to be in meetings, client facing and all. We have not done that. We are just talking in the ship environment. We have not been very vocal about how we feel about it, right? I think those things are definitely. The other thing I would also say is analytical skills, especially like working on MS Excel or some of the tools which you might not have used on ships. You may be lacking, and it's something which is a very basic part of your job, right? Networking is again a skill which we lack because our network on ships or shipping industry is so small that we do not know how to then go outside that network and communicate with people who are not a part of our industry or our job sector. So networking is again how to develop those skills. I think those are some of the basic things we think we can develop. And it does not mean we lack. It's a question of we have to build on to that. So I would hesitate lacking, but it's more about we've done it, but maybe over time our job profile changed on ships and the focus shifted. But if you develop some of these skills, just to like simple thing like just to have a one-to-one meeting, on ships we don't have that many discussions today, right? A proper how to deliver a proper feedback, how to deliver a performance appraisal. We don't have those systems today in ships in most of the companies, right? So I think some of the people that are skilled, some of the individual awareness or listening skills, uh, and then of course some of the tools which are required for your job are basics. I think we can look at, but in no way it handicaps you from the job. You learn on it. So once you get on that, you will learn. But you have to be just aware that the one thing you have to avoid is saying I know everything. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself when you get into a new job is I know everything, nobody can teach me, I was a captain or I was chief engineer and I know everything. No, you knew everything for that job, for that environment. Today the job environment company has changed, so you have to learn new things. So be ready for learning.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, and I sincerely hope that all the questions would have been answered, and all of you would have been satisfied with the answers that Captain Harsh gave. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. I know I had requested you for about an hour and a half, and it's taken us 2 hours 15 minutes. Thank you so much. Let's just take a final poll on feedback, please. So there are a few questions over here in the feedback, which I have just launched. So if you can, guys, if you can please answer and provide us feedback on, was the login easy? How useful was the session for you? Did you find the duration appropriate? And of course, if you would refer us to your friends. So look forward to all your feedback, please. And a big shout out to all of the participants for attending this, taking out your time. 3-4 of you have already booked a session with Captain Harish, and thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. So yeah, a lot of you feel the session was excellent. That's really nice. Yeah. I believe the session went a little longer than what we had told you guys. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys, for your feedback. Let me share this feedback with everyone as well. And once again, thank you so much, Captain Harsh, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Last words from you, Captain Harsh.
No, thank you very much for organizing this. I must thank C and Beyond and Gaurav and his team. It was great. And I want all of you to be successful. That's why we are here discussing this. I know these are these doubts people have and you want to do something, and it's perfectly fine to think. So I hope we have provided some guidance, some framework. Obviously, it is not the one-stop shop that you get a session and you will be able to make that change. I'm more than happy to help all of you in any way possible. To make the transition, or in any other personal life, any professional life, any other challenges you are facing, do let me know, because that's my job as a coach, to help my clients. And with obviously from the shipping side, obviously I have that strong connection, strong bond. So as I said, whatever I am today, I owe it to the shipping industry fraternity and to the career. So I'm more than happy to help anyone who needs help in any specific area of your life, any connections you need, anywhere you need recommendations, whatever you think you need to be successful, feel free to get in touch. Again, all of you need personalized. It's not a classroom thing. I attend a classroom, I'll know. So wherever you think you need more help, please get in touch with us. We'll Gaurav and team and myself will be more than happy to help you in any way possible. But yeah, thank you very much for attending, and I hope you have a nice weekend. Perfect. Thank you very much. Chalo.
Yeah.
Here.
Thanks a lot, everyone. We will share the presentation with you. We will share the ways and means on how you could connect, how you could book a call and everything. And look forward to your continued patronage and encouragement. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. I will mute the mic and we will be on the platform for a little while more to take in any views that you would have. If you have any suggestions for us to improve, any other thing, any other sessions that you would want us to do, please do keep that pouring in and we will take them as we move on. We will email the PPT.